In the early days of the church, when the message of Jesus was still spreading from one heart to another, there lived a man named Stephen. He was not among the 12 apostles, and his name did not carry the same recognition as some of the others, yet there was something deeply remarkable about him. Stephen was known for his quiet faithfulness. He served where he was needed, gave himself fully to the work before him, and carried a kind of peace that people could not easily explain. Those who encountered him noticed a wisdom in the way he spoke and a sincerity in the way he lived. It was not something forced or rehearsed. It felt natural, as though his life had been shaped by something greater than himself. As time passed, Stephen began to speak more openly about Jesus. He spoke with conviction, not to win arguments, but because he believed deeply in what he had experienced and come to understand. There was clarity in his words, and that clarity began to draw attention. Some listened with curiosity, but others felt unsettled. The more he spoke, the more resistance began to rise around him. Men who were respected for their knowledge and authority began to challenge him. They questioned him publicly, hoping to discredit him, but each time Stephen responded, there was a depth to his answers that left them unable to overpower his words. What stirred within him could not be easily dismissed, and instead of weakening his voice, their opposition only seemed to reveal the strength behind it. Eventually, the tension grew too strong to ignore. Accusations were brought against him, not because he had done wrong, but because the truth he spoke had become difficult to bear. Stories were twisted, and witnesses were gathered to speak against him. Before long, Stephen found himself standing before a council of powerful men who had already formed their judgment in their hearts. Even in that moment, there was no sign of fear in him. When he spoke, it was not with anger or desperation, but with a steady clarity that seemed to rise from deep within. He spoke about their history, about their repeated resistance to God, and about Jesus, the one they had rejected. His words were not meant to provoke, yet they carried a weight that pressed heavily on those listening. As he spoke, the atmosphere in the room began to change. What had started as a formal hearing slowly shifted into something more intense. The calm was replaced by agitation, and the agitation turned into anger. Faces tightened, voices grew louder, and the tension became almost unbearable. In the middle of it all, something unexpected happened. Stephen's attention seemed to move beyond the room. His gaze lifted, and his expression softened in a way that did not match the hostility surrounding him. It was as though he was seeing something no one else could see. With a quiet sense of wonder, he spoke, saying that he could see heaven open and Jesus standing at the right hand of God. Those words were more than the crowd could accept. Any restraint that remained disappeared, and the room erupted. They refused to hear any more, and in a surge of anger, they rushed toward him, dragging him out of the city. What followed was swift and merciless. The crowd gathered around him, each person carrying the same fury that had been building for so long. Stones were lifted, and in a moment the violence began. Stephen fell to his knees as the weight of it all came upon him. The noise, the pain, the chaos, it all surrounded him, yet there was something within him that remained untouched. Instead of responding with fear or anger, he lifted his eyes once more. In a voice that carried both surrender and trust, he prayed, "Lord Jesus, receive my spirit." It was not a cry of defeat, but a quiet offering of his life. And then, even as the stones continued to fall, he spoke again. This time, his words carried a depth of compassion that is difficult to comprehend. He asked that the sin being committed against him would not be held against them. In that moment, Stephen's life came to an end, but what he chose did not fade with him.
His faith had not wavered under pressure, nor had it been silenced by fear. It remained steady to the very end, shaped not by circumstance, but by a deep and unshakable trust in God. Among those present that day was a young man named Saul, watching everything unfold. Though nothing about him suggested it at the time, that moment would stay with him in ways he could not yet understand. Stephen's story does not continue beyond that day, but it does not feel unfinished. There is a quiet sense that what he saw in his final moments was more real to him than what surrounded him on earth. Faith is often spoken of as something we hold on to when life is good, when the path is clear, and when the cost feels manageable. But there are moments when faith asks for more, when it moves beyond comfort and into something deeper. Stephen's life reminds us that faith is not only revealed in what we say, but in what we choose when it truly matters. And sometimes the question is not whether we have faith, but whether we would still choose it if it asked for everything.